What a great start Matrix Software had. Sprinting out the gate, Alundra in hand. Sure, it is just Landstalker, but with a darker story, and a perceivable perspective. I dare you to figure out how this room works. The fact that it remains as great as it is, despite the publisher screwing with the difficulty, is testament to its quality. Great concept, fantastic execution, a cult classic in the making. Any studio would be jealous of a first title like that. Then Alundra 2 happened, and you would swear it killed someone's dog. I know Contrail produced it, giving it a weird Wild Arms flavor. Some claimed it ruined a promising series. I think you need more than 2 games for it to be a series, but you know. And my review of said game is to date my most disliked video, which I find very funny. It's a game that's just as weird as it is good, that helped them get to grips with action in 3D. Something they would follow up 2 years later, that being Dualhearts. Alundra in all but name. I gotta put this on the table right away. I'm mixed on Dualhearts, leaning on positive. If you decide to play this halfway through the video, amazing! I wish you the best of luck. But I gotta warn you, this game can hurt you. Physically hurt you, for reasons we'll get into. That's not me being dramatic. I had to take a break, thanks to it giving me several headaches. Not for the faint of heart. Viewer discretion is advised. Ruin Seeker, the title given to those treasure hunters that have proven they are the best of the best. Our hero, Rumble, yes really, is searching for the next big score, and his new mark is the elusive Dreamstone. On the opposite end of reality, Abaku is chosen by the Queen of Dreams to fetch the holy instruments in order to prepare for the monstrous evil slowly breaking its own seal. And as Rumble arrives at the recently excavated Temple of Dreams, this sick beat drops. That's the whole setup before gameplay starts. Nice and simple. Now you know the routine. We are emulating, and oh boy did we have some issues. Nothing you should perceive in the video, hopefully. Little things might change or look different. I had to keep changing renderers through my playthrough. Sometimes textures corrupted, others would randomly half the frame rate. Or whatever nonsense this is. Game machine broke! Man, it sure would be nice to play Dualhearts on any modern console so I can easily record it. What's that? Wikipedia says it's on the PlayStation Network? That should be changed to nuh-uh, because as far as I can tell, it was on the PS3 store at some point. Searching for it now just brings up Japanese links that basically inform you of such. Game preservation! I don't think he's even an Astrobot. Inside the temple, Rumble is blocked by a rainbow barrier. Time to explore. So now that we started, one thing this game... Jumping tutorial. Swell, so it's actually amazing to behold... Hang on! Button tutorial. Uh-huh. No, I get it. It's best to get this stuff out the way quickly for those who need it. You're not gonna tutorialize doors opening, are you? Oh my god, it's Val! Anyway, back to our Baku friend, inside the temple diligently doing his tasks. You have no idea how much I love him. No, Val, watch out! Oh, is she okay? Wait, a piece of candy! Welcome to the big gimmick of Dualhearts. All of the action gameplay takes place in people's dreams. And what's the first thing we do? We pick up a block to use it as a platform. Oh, it's nice to be home. They let you off the leash for a second, still pausing to give info, but it makes a lot more sense. The player might not know that you can also pull blocks, giving you a great overview of Rumble's base kit. Travel through the portal butt first and catch up with the person responsible for all this. Turns out the things Baku's been collecting become items in the dream world. Say hi to your new weapons. Even more tutorializing for a bit. Capped off with a boss fight that is basically a punching bag. Snap back to reality. Going forward, we do the following. Get the key, open the door, get new tool. This is now your life on the main game flow of Dualhearts. Which is strange. I was collecting rings in that dream. Are they a currency or what? We'll touch on that later. For now, let's finally stick our head outside and get another cutscene. Sure, okay. Nice meeting you, Yuri. Up the ladder to finally see the night sky. Meet the painter who's on top of the still being excavated ruins. Girl, do you know anything about safety? Okay, we jump down. Don't ask about the sheep. Time to start our adventure. Begin the anime OP. You're lucky I like the music. We arrive in town at the same time as the painter. Baku, he has a name, which is, brace for it, Tumble. Rumble, Tumble. So for clarity's sake, we'll just stick to Baku, alright? He says the escaped keys to Fleur at the temple have a tendency to hide in people's dreams. And the painter was near the ruins. Best to check. Now, finally having control of my character, I decide to run around the local area. No need to hop straight into the first level, right? If only I knew. Leaving the hotel has another cutscene play out, introducing you to Abbas. The place is basically an inn for Baku's stomach. He needs to eat fairies regularly to use his powers. Fine, gotta know that somehow. Leave the building and have a woman walk up to you to declare this island will be an amusement park one day. Okay? I gotta leave this area. I want to see the world. I don't have time for you, mysterious bard. We walk 2 feet down the road towards another tutorial cutscene. Please, I beg you. I just want to explore. Dualhearts did not give me a great first impression. After this point, these are more sparse, but man, we could have spread these out a little. Worst part is, if you just went into the painter's room, you could have been halfway through the first level by now. At least it all looked nice. 2002. That's the year Dualhearts came out, and honestly, its visual fidelity is better than most. Let me bring up how it's able to look this good before we really show it off. These areas are small, sometimes tiny. This lonely road with 2 quaint houses alongside it takes longer to load in and out of than to actually run across it. I'm not going to argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. Maybe late game it is a drag to be sure with all the... However, it comes to a boon for the artists. Sono Village is only really 5 areas big, and goddamn do they run with it. This main plaza has a crystal blue water feature, colourful signs and vibrant fabrics, sunlight piercing through the forest, warm beaches with a shimmering sea. The only thing holding it back is the PS2 trees that surround the island. Well, that's only the daytime. The defiantly orange sky switches to a twinkling amethyst. Indoor lights beam outwards, and the fireflies, so many fireflies, turn that boring repeating texture into a light show. It all conforms to this aesthetic that I'm struggling to convey. It was super popular in the 2000s, but it was mostly seen in Japanese games and media. Vibrant locales, characters that have more practical, or at least quote-unquote traditional/tribal outfits. A tech level around the Victorian era fused with Greek-side architecture? What the hell do you call this? Hack vibe? Grandier core? It must have a name. Anything outside the dreams is very much gameplay second, focusing on concrete puzzle challenges. And my feelings certainly get more mixed inside said dreams. Presentation is rarely a problem. The importance of it drops once you need to fight the local wildlife. I think they still did a commendable job. A lot of the dreams could be described as floating geometry. Hey, it worked for Mario Galaxy. No one complained about that. An artist's memories of references, fruits, libraries, furniture, melting clocks, roads to nowhere. They try their best to keep the skyboxes visually appealing. I don't know what this is supposed to be. Never-ending tree roots? Stone faces in the abyss? It looks rad. It's when the devs get less traditional with the visual effects. That's very diplomatic of me. Stepping into the nightmare of a visually impaired man to fix his glasses. Hands down. It includes gameplay ideas related to sight, enemies that look bigger or smaller than you think, being unsure of your own steps. Are these platforms changing size? All fun and games. What turns this into something experimental is the camera unfocusing at random intervals. 10 out of 10 for theming, I guess. I give it a pass simply because it's a contained area and is barely demanding skill-wise. Not the same with the Singer's Dream. Having the screen burst into a rainbow out of nowhere hurts my eyes. Have fun jumping on moving musical blocks in scale order. This, I think, would be the limit of most people. Distracting and maybe a little headache-inducing. Sure would be a whole other problem if we had combat, new platforms, and a boss fight. One Dream has you doing, by the way, it will get worse in a second. Skip your frame rates bother you. Has a whole picture book aesthetic. I think it looks amazing, honestly. Having you reach a goal just for the whole book to flip over to show you what's next. Objects popping out as you flip switches. Everything has that hand-drawn sketchy vibes. And the filter they put over it, mwah, cool as beans. Playing it is another matter entirely. Dropping from 60 to a low 15 frames per second already hit me like a truck. Again though, at the start it is really light on mechanics. The enemies that spawn all stick to the scenery, literally. Very light jumping. Trying to grab these items off the birds is still butts. However, I can still appreciate what they're trying to do. The vision, I see the vision. Then things get more intense. Having to sweep the camera around while jumping on these rotating platforms. And as you push further and further along, the sense of dread kicks in. Surely they won't throw a boss fight at me, right? That would be silly, right? Oh fuck no. Phantom Ganon may not have been the best inspiration. That was the most YouTuber line I've ever read out in my life. Ugh, okay, we're retaking that. Phantom Ganon may not have been the best inspiration. Couple that with a new boss mechanic of staggers introduced right this minute. It all leads to pain I had to wear off the rest of the evening. This is what I mean by Dualhearts being a hazardous game. Hand this boss fight over to someone who's played a Zelda or two, and you're liable to kill them. Maybe you're just sitting there, sugar-free monster in hand and thinking, "Piffed, I can do this. I've beaten Dark Souls." Die! I've spared you from the worst part of this game. Maybe it's time to show you the true horror. Welcome to the low HP alert. Oh god, even I have mercy. Let me turn that down. I have never heard something so piercing in my life. Assaulting on your eardrums. What's the big issue, you say? Just pick up some health. That's the thing! Health drops are unbelievably rare. Frustratingly rare. For a game this middling in difficulty, to starve you of healing items is very weird. If you get hurt early enough in a dream, you could realistically be hearing this for a solid 20 minutes. At that point, I just turned off all sound effects to get a break from it, something I've never considered doing before. And I think it shows that one of my 2 deaths during the entire playthrough, one of those was me throwing myself at a spike orb just to pop a revive. Freeing myself from that accursed noise. Despite the friction, it is one of the draws of Dualhearts. In other action games, you kinda have a feeling of what's showing up next. We had a sand level? Okay, now we're waiting for the ice world, fire world, evil world. With dreams, we could go anywhere. Sometimes. We are just humans making video games. How do you not have an ice level? 2 ice levels. Thankfully though, through the medium of dreams, it can't get weird enough to offset the now worn tropes. You gotta feed me, please. I'm starving here. Okay. Thank you. I die now. Ice level plus music is a nice combo. Assuming this is ice. Given the person and the screen effects, this floor I'm standing on might be frozen tears. Merry Christmas! Oh wait, that's right, we got Ray Santa! On this island is a big round man drinking his life away at the bar. He can also be found day sleeping on the beach. Poor guy. Something must have gone very wrong for Santa to be in this state. Did the missus leave him? Have we finally cancelled Christmas? I can't find my hat. We can get you a new one.
Perish the thought! Santa is very sensitive about his wardrobe.
Well, okay. Let me go assassinate the snowman, who from the looks of things appears to be a loving father and the entire source of the snow just to get your hat back. If you decide to return to Santa's dream, holy hell, did you need to turn his head into a light show? That's fucked up. I need the lore on how this happened. I think Santa lost his hat in a race, and he's so embarrassed that he needs to murder those involved to hide his secrets. Better watch your back, Mr. Reindeer, or you might on-dancer your way into the grave.
What?
Doing odd tasks, or sometimes just the main path next to Dream Essence. Collectibles needed to open up extra paths in the Temple of Dreams, which is different from Gold Essamons, or the Life Vessels, Dream Rings, Tummy Up fragments. Is this an adventure game or a collectathon? I don't know. It's more of a limbo game that draws from both to the detriment of itself at times. Okay, so the village part, right? Genius! Taking the cozy town structures of a lot of Japanese action or RPGs have, and merging it with a Banjo hub world? I doubt this was the first game, nor will it be the last. I mean, look at Majora's Mask. It's the progression of the former that hinders it. In more modern Zelda, not the modern, but the modern ones. You get what I mean, right? In 2000s Zelda, the choice of which dungeon you tackle is very linear, to create a smooth difficulty curve. They usually start with a boomerang and a dream, ending with you having to stop and swap 20 items as you figure out more complex or involved puzzles. That escalation is here. It's when the game introduces side content that can use their ability, it feels artificial.
Hello, it's me, Mr. Raceman, on vacation at the Sunny Island Resort. Good lord, do I love a thrilling marathon. Anyway, I'll be asleep all day. Here's my room key.
That feeling of being naturally curious, checking every nook for anything sparkly is not here. You need the game to do that for you. When something does change, it usually opens up the whole map, or a very tightly designed bit of content, where you can exist in that fantastic state of flow. Nobody's trying to stop you, alone with your thoughts. It's the parts I enjoyed the most, the parts where it becomes a collectathon again, where I wander atop my Baku. That's another thing I will give Dualhearts. Taking all the movement abilities you expect from a collectathon? A collectathon? Wow, I'm British. Did you know? And giving them a face. Others do that. Kazooie, Clank. But they're very integrated. Here it is literally another character. It just can't fully commit to making Baku the solution to that many problems, because the hero still needs his hookshot. Halfway through they run out of things to give him, and just make his attack stronger, while we still have the trappings of use this item on this thing. You'll be picking up and throwing all the time, which I like. I much prefer entering a room and having a good idea of what's expected of me. It's probably why I'm pro sliding block puzzle. That's right. It's me. I enjoy them. Devs put those in just to satisfy my endless hunger for block-go-wee. There's nothing wrong with having me figure out all the ways an item can be used, of course. It's when the devs' brainworms want to come along for the ride, deciding that this interaction is 100% logical. Not that you're given the chance to think about the situation sometimes. Now, this is baseless speculation. I have no proof of what I'm about to say. I wonder how much this game was tested by people not directly on the project. Because anything that seems a little obtuse or has a very specific order, it will pause everything and just tell you what to do. Like a fish slapped onto a wall of spikes. Use hook shot. This lanky boy drops on the ceiling and I have a good idea how this will go down. They have one big eye. I have a crossbow. Tale as old as time. Only for these amateurs who ate shit to explain the whole boss fight step by step how to beat them. Thanks? Normally it puts up a boss marker with advice on how to win. Given that these bosses require specific actions to beat, I don't mind the hints being provided for those struggling. But if there's any friction for a part of gameplay, someone will show up and tell you what to do. It's very bizarre, especially when it loosens the reins and expects you to fundamentally understand the situation. What do you mean I was supposed to mine the cork? How does that make any sense? All coming to a head when the aforementioned bosses start getting halo shields halfway through. Knowing the weakness is no longer enough. Gotta soften them up, then do the one specific thing. Again, bizarre. The fighting doesn't feel that great in the first place. Enemies take 1 or 2 more hits than they're supposed to. And they clip through geometry sometimes. The big horse guys are just the worst. It's better to Baku breath them to death. Have you ever wondered what our purpose on this planet is? It's weird talking about video games sometimes. Especially one like Dualhearts, where I believe the gameplay part to be the weakest. As I was writing the summary for this whole script, I could point out the things I like very easily. Visuals looks real good. Music? Nothing I would listen to in my spare time? However, the catchy melodies still stick with me. Hell, I think I could repeat them unprompted. Hannah's Dream, the one you heard earlier, the Picturebook one, every day since I finished the game, it's just kept popping back in my head. Animations? I mean, just look at this. Sounds? Well, apart from that one ear-splitting mistake, I adore every noise the Baku makes. He brings me nothing but joy. Rumble himself also has some real quotable lines. To the moon! Scorch! Batter up! As the list of positives grew, I get to the game part and it's just a list of bugbears. The jump button is also interact, so you either accidentally talk to someone or hop in place, waiting for the action to repeat. Can't put on triangle? No, that's the dedicated what the dog doing button. The camera only turns in 60-degree increments like Super Mario 64. I understand the way Japan thought about cameras is different, but trying to get beauty shots for this game, like if you go in first person, it zooms in, like the FOV turns to 0. Locking on can be clunky because it uses pressure sensitive buttons. You remember those on the PS2 controller? That don't exist anymore? Well, most controllers. Enemies endlessly respawn, so you start dodging them to avoid the low health noise. I could go on, and I gotta acknowledge that stuff. Some people play video games just for the game part, which is totally fine. This is an entertainment medium fused with an art form. It can exist anywhere on that spectrum, and where you draw the line is, frankly, personal. I trust that with all I've shown you, you can see if this is a game that interests you personally. I can't recommend it to everyone like usual, and that's okay. Accessibility aside, not everything should be made for everyone. And it's not like Matrix died after this. While they did not make as many original games as other studios, when they partnered up with other companies like Enix or Square, they made some great titles. The DS port of Final Fantasy IV is factually amazing. Honest to God cutscenes with moody lighting. Actual voice acting.
Shall we then, Cecil?
I'll be counting on you, my friend.
Then you've nothing to fear.
Tough as hell thanks to the original Japanese difficulty. By far my favourite if I ever want to play it again. And it's a travesty that the one we have on Steam is the bungled mobile port. Anything they've touched has at least been fun to talk about. And speaking of DS games they touched, one is looking much more interesting to me day by day. I don't know if I'll make a video on it, but I need to see how this turns out for all of us.